See, what's your policy on
Page
58 on how much, what percentage or what's the amount that can be invested with any one institution?
Councillor, it's set out in our investment policy, which is part of the long-term plan. So that's the procedure. It's advised and what have you. So that's where we get it from. But a specific answer is the investment policy currently states that no more than 25% of our cash holdings can be invested with any one A plus financial institution, and all the big banks are A plus financial institutions. So we look at how much we've got on hand, be it say 40 million, and then no more than 25% of that can reside in any one of those A plus banks. So that's why you find them spread around the banks.
Okay, thank you. And I support Councillor Graham's asking for a bit more information. I'm keen on seeing things like 12-week rolling cash flows and having a good handle on that. I'm also wondering at which point in time, and I'll take some guidance on this, that we are seeing a review on the amount of dividend that's coming from the port. Is that a signal that we're giving to HBRC? Is that something that's timelined in, or how's that working?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I thought the time for that is because there's obviously confidential information on port figures, so it would be at a workshop for council going through some of those issues, and I've already done a little bit on that, and I'm very happy to share it.
become part of the annual plan process.
Well, that's the first opportunity. I mean, it's certainly an issue that comes up in the annual plan, and it's not a difficult issue to grasp either. And in fact, the chairman of HBRC alluded to that in our strategic workshop, if you will recall. Yep.
Further questions? Okay, so we've out of this. We'll receive the report, but
questions on the narratives?
yes.
Right, I'm just waiting to see if we're getting to the narrative
Certainly.
side before we got off the actual financials. Can I raise a question on the page 64 on the memorandum of understanding with Waikato University? Is this just a one-off for provision of services, or are we likely to be entering a similar strategic partnership as we have with Massey?
Sorry, Ian, were you? Sorry, the discussion with Waikato University is not going to replicate the agreement that we have with Massey. It's very much more focused around the industry or practice work that we'll be doing to implement Plan Change 6.
Any more questions, Councillor, on the
I
narrative?
have actually. If I can move to page 69.
Do you wish to go through page by page, Councillor?
I've got several questions here. I just wonder whether it would be helpful to go through page by page and see if we pick up the questions as we go. Otherwise, we're going to zigzag backwards and way forwards through it.
Okay. So 63 is where we started. No questions there.
Yeah, I'd just like to know what the last item on the page, the $450,000 grant funding for business R&D. What is that, and how does it get awarded? Right above page 63.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I can't give you the specific answers to that, Councillor Belford. I'd have to take advice from our economic development team around that, in particular Jenny Brown. So would you mind if I get back to you on that about how it's awarded? Please, thank you.
I can't add anything to that other than it's been allocated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not actually a pot sitting there. It's how our expenditure is demonstrated, I guess. But I can't.
I guess my comment about this...
Microphone, please. Microphone.
This is an area, and there would be others that occurred to me looking through the material, that not from a financial stewardship standpoint as much as a marketing of what we do standpoint. There are certain areas of activity that are priority or perceived priority out in the community at any point in time such as how are we investing in the economic development, et cetera. We had this discussion a bit, I guess, in the workshop as to some sort of matrix. I'm not looking to see every dollar so accounted for, but there are probably 8 or 10 projects that the community has some awareness of and senses as a priority of the council, and it would be nice just to see how the numbers stack up. There's part of a constituency out there that thinks we should be attending to mitigating climate change impacts, for example. And I could go through here and tick 8 or 9 very, line item type things where that work is relevant to that question, but it's not arrayed that way, and it in effect shortchanges what we might say to the public as to our level of commitment in that area. I would suggest maybe the same is true in an area like this, economic development, or what is our role in that area. It could be as broadly stated as building a dam in Central Hawke's Bay. It could be as narrowly defined as we've given somebody $25,000 out of a $450,000 pot to do some R&D on something. Now you're saying it's not a pot, but that's my point, I guess. If we were agreed that there were 10 or a dozen more visible activities that the public might want to actually know, how much are we spending these days on the dam, or how much are we spending on whatever, it's really hard to extract that from this presentation.
Thank you. And next we've got
Microphones, all right. What are we, 64, 65?
65.
65, Councillor Barker.
Yeah, just a quick question. Reached agreement on spatial planning framework. I have daily people knocking on my door asking about the progress of the spatial planning framework. Could I have some briefing on this, please? Seriously, I mean, it seems to me this is a thing that's moving here on us, and I'm just trying to get my head around what the implications of it are, particularly when we're looking to reach agreement on the Lower North Island. Who's in charge of that?
Look, I'll ask Ms Codlin to present or make a presentation to you on that. Unfortunately, and her apologies for this meeting, she's committed to the Board of Inquiry process at present, but as soon as she's available, I'll ask her to do that.
She can either send me an email or ring me or have a verbal briefing. I don't care which way it is, but just like to have an update.
Yes, she sends it out to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the Plan Change 4 that we approved today is a manifestation of spatial planning on the Piratonga Plains. I get that.
66, 67. Activity 2. 68, 69. Councillor Scott.
With regard to the small unsewered communities for community schemes, we've had no uptake on this particular funding for something like 9 years. Why are we still carrying this on? Can we, in the next annual plan round, I mean there's nothing that can be done now, next annual plan round, can we have a look if we can actually redirect that budget somewhere else?
Which one in particular? You're talking about the $1 million
yeah.
fund, okay.
We've only ever made one grant, and that was to Waipariki.
Right, okay.
And since then it's never been used. We've just had that facility there. Either we're not promoting it well, or there actually is no call on it. So I think we need to, if we could mark that as one of the things we could look at for the annual plan round.
Sure, Councillor Barker. Yep.
I agree with Councillor Scott on that. It's one I have marked as well. Dealing with sewage is a really, really important issue. There are still remaining some issues. And with the report that Councillor Scott's asked, I would like us to, for the officers to come back and indicate what they think is the potential out there. Is it that people haven't written in or asked, or there are other issues around this? What is the potential? How many communities would there possibly be able to take this up? If the answer is none, well, I agree with Councillor Scott, let's scrap and go on. If their answer is 3 or 4, well, let's find out what are the barriers to it and then try to resolve it. If we can't resolve it, let's move on. But I think it's great the council's putting money into this. It's really worthwhile, but it seems to me that it's sat there and done nothing. We need to shift it one way or the other.
So the question is a bit more information there. Thank you. Okay, 7071. $72, straightforward for me because there's nothing there. 73.
Can I be a pedant here?
I beg your pardon?
Can I be a pedant? Someone pedant.
Probably. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I just want to say that over here on the fourth column, on the right-hand side, the last sentence, current assessment is that the scheme provides 100% effectiveness and there is no more than a low risk of failure. 100% effectiveness means there is no risk of failure. Now, if you're going to have a low risk of failure, then you have to have something less than 100%. And the point I want to make is it cannot be, these are mutually exclusive. You cannot have 100% effective or and a low risk of failure. So there's one or the other. What is it?
Okay, let me explain. I've got it on. The 100% effectiveness is that the stop bank is to the right height and the channel has the capacity to convey the design flood safety to the sea. The low risk of failure is a low risk of premature failure prior to at a lower level than that flood. So that's what it's conveying. If it's not conveying it effectively, those 2 points, that's fine. We'll change the wording, but that's what it's attempting to do.
Well, you're saying it's 100% effective in a storm estimated for 1 in 100 years, then you should say that. If it's going to be 1 in 300 year storm, where it might go, well then we need to know that. 100% is no risk of failure. If there is a risk, well then we need to know what the risk is.
Well, the 100-year storm is referred to on the left-hand column.
I got that, 1 in 100, that's why I use it.
Yep.
But if there's a risk of failure, I think you have to identify what the risk of failure is.
Okay. That may not be as straightforward, but yep, that's the meaning it's trying to convey.
Thank you. 74, 75, 76, 77. Oh, sorry.
I see that we've got 2 notions here about 0.5 kilometre riparian land enhanced every year on average.
I'm sorry,
Page.
74. This is one hidden by the statement.
Third column, ongoing 0.5 kilometre riparian land, and this is in this particular area. We have 0.5 somewhere else, and 0.5 I've noticed. Could we have a short report that sets out how much riparian enhancement was expected to do in a year, and how much the total is if we were going to reach perfection?
Yeah, the headings on the one refers to the Heratonga Plains scheme, one's the Upper Tukituk scheme. So we're dealing with 2 different schemes, but I take your point. Yep.
I'm getting at pieces, so I just want you to bundle it all up and give me a whole picture for the region. What are we doing as a region?
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 76, 77, 89. Not 89, 78, 79, 81, 2-3, Councillor Scott. You're not quite there yet, okay. 4-5.
5, Mr. Chairman. The model to be used for catchment modelling in the Taharua, are we using the existing trim model that was used in the Tukituki, or is it being is it a similar model being recalibrated for that catchment?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is a similar model to the trim model. It is not the trim model, but it is specific to this catchment. So it is a biogeochemical model in the same structure and concept as the trim model.
Thank you. 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 23, 94, 95, no questions there, 97, 8, 9, 100 and 101, 102, 103.
I'll just come back. I'm interested in this grass forage trial. Whereabouts is that?
Page
101.
101. Grass forage trial. How much are the rabbits eating and what's it costing us?
Sorry, I can't give you a detailed answer on that, but I can certainly find out and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I think we're on.
Sorry, page 101.
Can I go back to page 100 when you finish with that?
Yeah, sure. Which I think we are. Councillor Barker.
The 100.
I'll hand it over to Mr. Maxwell.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So yes, effectively it is a cost effectiveness approach. It's a reasonably detailed and technically specialised area of work for any councils. So nationally there has been a move to put all of that technical assessment work back to Waikato Regional Council and for us to pay them an annual fee to deal with that work for us. So if you like, it's a centre of excellence approach rather than us duplicating those sorts of technical specialist people in every council in every region. We have one council that deals with that for us all. So appreciate it does at times it could add cost by having to bring people here. In my experience, we haven't had to do that yet. Most of the stuff is done remotely on a desktop level, so there should be limited occasions when we actually need to bring somebody into the field. But overall, the approach is to try and reduce costs rather than increase them.
How long have we had this relationship, like nationally? Because
it predates me, so I don't know when it began.
Predates me,
I could give you a background on
5 or 6 years, probably.
Right,
Otago
okay.
being the South Island.
Councillor Bevan.
Yes, sorry, Chair, I'd like to jump back another page, or 2 pages actually, to 98, which is compliance monitoring. It's not specific in here, but I presume under this activity we're including water consents.
Yes, all consents would be included in this.
Yeah, okay. I have had several people raise with me concerns about the annual water consent cost, probably most specifically in relation to the cost of telemetry metering, which I think is $195. Is that correct? Or $189, something like that?
You mean the cost of them having to provide their own telemetry back to us?
No, not the cost of installing, but the annual cost.
Oh, do you know off the top of your head what that is, Wayne? No, look, I don't know what the annual cost is for telemetry hookups, but our view is pretty clear that in the absence of telemetry, the cost to the growers is significantly more because we would have to go out into the field and do some verification on the ground, some checking. This is an issue that cropped up through Change 6 and discussions with some of the larger growers, and a simple desktop exercise demonstrates that there's significant savings to be made by having telemetry as a tool to collect water use data rather than either them having to put staff on the ground to go and read meters and then provide it to us. So that's a cost to them that they would have to carry, and all the cost of us having to go out and check meters either at the start of a low flow cut-off and or during it. So telemetry it has some fixed costs and some ongoing costs, but overall our belief is that the package is far more cost effective than manual reading of meters. And certainly happy to give some more detail on
Yes,
that.
through you, Chair. Sorry, and it's quite probable that you're correct in saying that it's cheaper than other ways of doing this. However, the charge that we make should reflect the cost to us of collecting the data and doing the analysis, because that's what this is all about. So I'd quite like to see a bit more information about how water charges are made up, or the annual consent costs, and what the actual charges to us are of delivering what we have to do.